Culture of Warsaw in Poland in general. The first legend is actually associated with this pillar over here. It is called the Sigismund column. The guy on the top is King Zygmunt or Sigismund III. He was a king of Poland at the end of the 16th century. Since you're Swedish, yeah, you know that he was from the Vasa dynasty, which was also a Swedish dynasty. And he was the son of Jan Vasa, who was king of Sweden as well. Once in history, it happened in 1944 during the Warsaw Uprising, which was a really tragic event for our country. And you can probably with certain dose of accuracy say that this prophecy was true, because in 1944 the Germans, in act of revenge for the Poles starting the uprising, bombarded the entire city of Warsaw. Massive destruction. I will tell you a bit more about that as we go. And this column collapsed. Obviously it was not like the city collapsed because of the column falling down, but more the other way around. But it happened. You can see, if you look over there, you can see there are like stone pillars lying down. This is the original Sigismund column. Do you see it?
Yeah.
This is what the column used to before the war. However, not the statue of the king himself is original. Still, the first constitution of Poland was also drawn in the painting. The second country we want to do, it's not like that ordinary for even for us to have like two churches next to another, because we would say that one is enough, right? But these two have a bit of different history. The first one is called the Archcathedral of St. John the Baptist. It's the older one of these two. Originally it was made of wood, now it's made of this red brick. This red brick, by the way, is one of the most popular elements and most characteristic elements for Polish architect, Polish medieval Gothic architecture. Because, for example, in Germany, they also built in a similar style, however they used a grey brick. And we in the Polish rivers had this specific red brick, which we really overused, by the way. I'll show you when we go to, there's also like the defensive walls of the Barbakan. You've probably seen them while so they're also made of this brick as well. One who you would not describe as handsome. He was big and hairy and not visually appealing, I would say. And he fell in love with a beautiful girl, which, by the way, this is a kind of a trait for Polish guys that for a lot of us it takes really a long time to encounter a girl for the first time. It takes really a long time for the Poles to do so. So this guy wasn't an exception. He was too shy to ask the girl out for a date, and but finally, after seeing her in the church every week and not saying anything to her, he managed to be brave enough and went and asked her out. She of course refused because she was way too ugly, and out of sadness, out of sorrow, he turned into a bear. What more, he turned into a stone bear, which is this statue over here, and just because he got rejected by a girl. So this is kind of like the Polish version of the Beauty and the Beast story, I would say. However, it has a happy ending, which is still yet to unfold. Basically, if a girl falls in love with this statue, with this bear, and kisses him, according to the legend, he will turn back into a man and they will live happily ever after. So, as you can see, he's still a bear, so no one was brave enough.
Waiting for the right one.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know.
You should try. You should try.
Yeah, basically, to be honest, I've never seen anyone kiss this bear.
Yay!
You might have to wait a bit. Yeah, okay. Maybe you're not in his type, so he doesn't.
No.
Now the Polish guy rejects me.
Yeah, the bravest man in the kingdom, the not knights and then who sent they all don't understand. So they were really hesitant to rebuilding churches, so they decided to rebuild the walls at first. Yeah, usually we will go that way, but it's not due to renovation work, so we'll just go this way and new town. But nowadays all considered old town. Yeah, but this used to be
This one.
back in the day. Yeah. According to the legend, a long time ago, when there wasn't a city here yet, there was just a big forest. The king or the ruler of this place got lost during a hunting and wandered entire night through the forest and looking for some signs of civilization or for people who could like tell him the way to the nearest city. He encountered, after a whole night of wandering around the forest, he encountered a little cottage in which the pair was living, Wars and Sava, the two lovers. And even though they didn't notice he was a king, obviously it also sounds a little bit weird, because you would probably notice a king when he came to you. He would probably wear these special robes and stuff, but they didn't recognize it was the king, but gave him food and a place to rest anyway. And in return, like being so grateful for them to do so, he decided to name the city which he later founded here in their honor, naming it Warszawa, so Wars and Sava. And there's also another version of this legend, why it looks kind of like part of the city is called Prague. Like the Czech capital. And yeah, it was changed because the king got slightly irritated when like the smell got to his castle when the wind was blowing that way. And yes, that's how it went. Praga, the other side of Warsaw, on the other side of Wistura, is quite characteristic district because it was not destroyed that much during the Warsaw Uprising. And why is that? Well, to explain it, I have to like briefly introduce you to what the history of our country used to look like in the years of the Second World War. Basically, when the war started, we got divided between Germany and Soviet Russia at the very beginning in September 1939. then, just 2 years later, when Germany decided to invade Soviet Russia, they pushed the Soviets to the east, and whole Poland fell under German control. But then, in 1944, the situation had totally changed, because the Germans were losing the war on all fronts. The Soviets were beating them in the east. The Allies have already landed in Normandy in summer 1944, in June, and so the Germans basically knew that they would have to retreat from the city of Warsaw back to Germany. The Poles knew it as well, and we had this like giant underground conspiracy structure, which was the Polish underground state, which was cooperating with the Polish government in exile, which was stationed in London, and they made the decision to start an uprising, a revolt against the Germans, while they would be retreating. The reasoning behind that was that they wanted to liberate themselves from the Germans, not to wait for the Soviets, because they thought if the Soviets get here and liberate us from the Germans, then they would get all the credit for doing so, and they would treat us worse. And also Stalin himself, the Soviet dictator, he also encouraged the Polish resistance fighters to start a fight against the Germans. And this is exactly what they did, even though they were dramatically underprepared. They had like one hand grenade for 14 people, and one gun for about 20 people, and not every one of them even had ammunition. Another thing is, we didn't have, for example, any anti-aircraft defense. The Germans obviously had air fleets able of destroying the city. And the most important thing is that Germany, even though it was losing, they had like regular soldiers, front troops, and we had like teenagers or elderly people who were not really capable of fighting in the same way as the soldiers were able to do. But we started fighting anyway. This is one of the differences between, for example, the history of Warsaw and Krakow, because in Krakow the underground state the high command didn't allow the uprising to start, because they said, no way, the civilians are going to die, we have, there's too much to risk, everything will get just bombed by the Germans, and we do not want our people to suffer. We do not stand a chance anyway. But in Warsaw they thought that starting a fight would be a good idea. That's what they did. And when the Soviets realized that the Polish are beginning their fight, they stopped their offensive to the east, and basically just all they did was they captured this part of the town, Prague, after not nearly a month of fighting. So they never came here to help our resistance fighters. The thing is, basically on that shore of Warsaw, less distraction happened, because the Soviets came here and just forced the Germans to retreat. However, they didn't come here to help us, because they wanted. It was also a really clever idea. The Soviets wanted the Polish resistance fighters to get killed by Germans as well, because if they help the resistance fighters, there's a chance that they could start a rebellion against the Soviets as well. And they wanted to enforce communist rule here after the war, and they knew that the Polish are going to oppose it. So they just waited on the other side until the city was completely destroyed by Germany, and then after the revolt had ended, they came here and claimed what was theirs, but basically there were just ruins left here. Nothing was left undamaged. The people were settled further to the west by the Germans, and the Soviets reached like city of ruins, destroyed completely by Germany, and claimed that they liberated it. But of course, obviously it was not true. They just came here to see the ruins.